Lights, camera, action. Let's start the show. Here's a little bit of wedding advice from me to help your love story unfold. This is your wedding series, and it's all about planning your wedding from the beginning. Now, I know most people get to planning their wedding when they are engaged. But as you guys know over here, we do things a little bit different. So we started planning from age 14-year-old you, and then fast forward into the age in which you get engaged. Most of you joined me in season 1, where we talked a lot about finances and preparing for the wedding before you even get proposed to, which is like, wow, that's a lot going on. Like, most people are going to plan for something that hasn't actually happened yet, right? So we took the time out to do that. We took the time out to flush out what it would be like to start planning our finances, to start planning to be a wife, a husband, a parent, and all the good things, right? And so that we could also be better people. So how to just be an adult, right? And so we talked a lot about that mentorship couple, having a mentor couple in your life, mentorship in your life, and accountability in your life. If you're interested in what that looked like, please go back and look at season 1. Well, we are in season 2 today, and this is episode 13, and you're already engaged, so we now have fast forward, and we are talking about something interesting, something a little unique that everybody talks about. I don't think that they're asking themselves one main question when it comes to this topic. There's one main question. We're going to discuss more than one, but there is one that is the most important out of every question that is on this checklist. So in today's episode, we are talking about how to find your wedding photographer. Not your videographer today. We will kind of touch on it, but we're discussing how to find your wedding photographer, inspiration, inspo, and questions to ask them when you are looking and shopping, because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be shopping, not yet buying your wedding photographer. Let's jump right in. Let's get into some notes. Let's get into some of this. You guys, take out your notebooks. Make sure that you always bring your notebook to class. Woo, this is wedding class 101, okay? So make sure that you bring your notebooks to class. Make sure that you're keeping notes somewhere, okay? And make sure that you're asking questions. A good student is paying attention and asks questions. So make sure that you're also asking questions. Now, if you didn't catch the live stream and you're watching this by replay and you still have questions, I will give my email at the end of this, so you can reach out to me directly if you would prefer. Okay, so we're in episode 13. Where to find inspo for your wedding videographer and questions to ask them. Well, first we want to start off with some research, okay? The first thing that you want to do is start researching wedding photographers. And you do this by going to different places in order to research and find them, okay? So you can go to wedding websites, just type in wedding photographer, put in the name of your city or your state or your country, depending on how you want to look for this person. Remember, the further in that they have to travel to you, the more obviously they're going to cost. So be mindful of that if you are going to choose somebody that doesn't live directly in your city, like very, very close to you, okay? So you want to go ahead and research their website. Now, what are you looking for on this website? Definitely you're looking to see, like, what is their style like? What is their aesthetic? You're looking for their professionalism. And what does that professionalism mean to you? It's different for other people. So hopefully you have defined what is a pro in your eyes and what is professionalism in your eyes. And you're able to see that through their website, how they curated their website. Do they even have a website? Okay. So the next thing is going to be Google Maps and reviews. Google Maps is a great tool because Google has definitely like positioned itself in a reputable like tool for us to use, a reputable company that provides insights and real feedback to people who are looking for almost anything. Okay, so you can go on Google Maps and you can just look at your city, look at your country, and look at wedding photographers that are there. Look at those ones that are there, okay? And once again, you're looking at professionalism. Did they complete their profile? Things like that. If people can't take the time out to complete their marketing tools, how well do you think that they're going to do when it comes to your photos? Okay? This is one of the most important days of your life when it comes to celebration, okay? Besides the day that you came into this world, and then your mom was so excited, okay? So, and your dad, obviously, and your dad. And so you want to be taking the time out to make sure that this is the right person for you, okay? So look at their Google Maps. A place that I wouldn't put a lot of stock into is social media. I know, I said it, but Google Maps will have people on there that have reviews, and these people are very serious about reviews. They take them very seriously, and I suggest that you go down to the lowest rating. Go down to the lowest rating. If they have a 1 or 2 star, please take those stars seriously. A lot of times, these are the people who are telling the complete and honest truth when it comes to a business, a review that they want to give, okay? Now, if they don't have any 1 or 2 stars, woo, you can cheer. This is exciting. They don't even have that. So then you want to go ahead and move to 3, 4, and then 5 stars as of last, okay? A lot of times I notice when people give a 5 star, they may write like a sentence or just like a word. And like that doesn't really help me to figure out what is this working with this service really like, okay? So you want to do your homework in here. Anybody can put up kind of reviews on their website, but when you go to Google Map reviews, I feel like they're a little bit more thought-provoking than those that are on websites. Social media doesn't provide a ton of reviews except for maybe like Facebook. They've got a little section, but most people don't take the time out to really fill those out anyways. You can use Facebook to go into the wedding groups. There are a bunch of wedding groups that are on Facebook, and you can go in there and just ask them for like their referrals on like who do they think their favorite wedding photographer that they used recently was, and like how much did they charge them, how long did they have them, things like that. And people will be very open with you. Wedding couples will be very, very open with you on what they spent for their photographer, how long the photographer was there capturing their day, and how was their experience working with that photographer. You can also look at wedding venue websites. When you look at wedding venue websites, they will have a list of their recommended wedding photographers. Now listen, there is a little buddy system that is lurking behind the walls for that. So know that a lot of them are kind of like working together and recommending and referring each other so they can keep their tight little circle of the same vendors working and gatekeep everybody else out, which is very difficult when anybody else is trying to get their foot into the wedding business. It shouldn't be this, okay, well, only the people who've been doing this for 30 years since they were 16 years old, they're the only ones that get to be in the wedding business for the rest of their life and nobody else can come in. That doesn't seem very fair. And do you want to work with a circle of people who do that? Probably not. Probably not. So it's something to keep in mind. The other place to keep in mind is when you're on social media, also look at the wedding venues social media. So not just their websites, but also the wedding venue social media, because they will tag who photographed that specific wedding. So they'll post weddings. You know, they've gotten permission from the couples, and they will post pictures and videos of those weddings, and then they will have a tag for whoever the photographer was, and all the vendors, really. So everybody, even your content creator, okay? Everybody will be tagged in there. And so then you can say, okay, well, I really like the way that this was done. This was captured so beautifully. This really feels like it's going to fit our aesthetic. And so you can reach out to them based on that. The next one is going to be talking to friends, talking to family members. These people that are close to you, like coworkers, people at your church, they're going to be really, really honest with you on how they felt about a wedding photographer, okay? Even if they were just a guest, even if they were just a guest at a wedding, they're going to tell you what it was really like. Oh, this photographer was like, he seemed like he was always in the way. Oh, I didn't even notice they had a photographer, but then I saw their photos and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. I didn't even know they even had a photographer. So they will give you their real feedback, okay, which is good. You want the truth. This is going to be a vendor that you're going to spend a lot of money on, a lot of money. And you're also going to spend a lot of time with, okay? The photographers are there a lot, okay? And so you want to make sure that, hey, is their work going to match up with what you're looking for, okay? So you want to make sure of that. Now, the next thing that you want to do is look at the photographer's portfolio. So the portfolio itself, I told you to look at their website. I told you to look around at their professionalism and just how they curated their website. I mean, you can also see how they curated their Google Maps, like I said, too. Like, throw that in there of how they did it. Did they even finish it? Did they fill out most of the things? Do you understand what they're about? And did they take the time out to talk about their style and aesthetic? Okay, a good photographer will do that. The reason why you're looking at their style and aesthetic is because you want to make sure that it matches up with yours, your vision for the day, okay? Is it matching up with what you want? They may have vibrant colors. They may have black and white photography. They may have a Victorian, look to their photography that's a little bit like very, very, very niche, okay? Very, very niche photography. There's a lot of other different styles that are out there when it comes to photography that you may want to research to see if that's what you are looking for. I like vibrant colors. I like for things to just pop. I like to, when I look at a photo, I want it to be what I see in my real eye in real life. So whatever I saw that day is what I want my photos to look like, okay? Not everybody is the same way. Not everyone's the same way as me. There was a time when most things were not in color. Things were very gray. Things were very black and white. So maybe there's some people out there who are like, I want that feel in my photos to take me back. And when I look at these, I want to feel like I've gone back in time, even though when I got married wasn't back in time. Okay? So just keep all of that in mind of what you are looking for. Now it's time to schedule your first consultation, your first consult with some photographers that you've narrowed down. Try to pick like 3 or 4 before you start doing consultations, and that way you're not going back to step 1 over and over and over again. So try to stick with the first step, which was doing the research, asking around all the good things, and then we're going to move on to step 2, which is starting to schedule our consultations with some of the top 3 or 4 that we have chosen. Okay? Now, the first question, now we're getting down to our questions for the consultation. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. You need to also come with some questions for them, okay? They're going to come with you with all kinds of stuff. And a lot of that's going to be budget, 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 money, money, money. You guys know the drill, okay? Everyone's just all about getting as much money from you as possible because you're getting married. When they think that you've got a lot of money to give them, and you don't, okay? Unless you do, then that's fine too. Maybe these videos aren't helping you as much, but hopefully you're getting a lot of life lessons to pass on to the next generations who may not be where you're at financially. We'll say that, okay? So, number one, the first question you're going to ask, is the engagement photo shoot included? A lot of photographers will include your engagement photo shoot. If you've been following along with my wedding planning, we're now in season 2, episode 13. Have we done the engagement photo shoot yet? No. I'm doing things in order, okay? So you want to research a photographer, not just pick anybody to do the engagement photo shoot. So this is why we're taking our time. Some of you watching this probably jumped ahead and already did the engagement photo shoot, and that's fine. You can still enjoy wedding planning here with us and getting back into the timeline of what we are working with over here. Don't worry, okay? You are still doing good. I wish that you wouldn't have jumped ahead. I wish that you hadn't already did the engagement photo shoot, but that's okay. Hopefully you asked some of these questions before you did the photo shoot. Hopefully. Most people will skip these, and especially that big one that I'm telling you guys about that's coming up, most people won't ask that question. And then things go very, very badly for them on the wedding day. Like, very badly. And a lot of couples don't want to talk about it because it's so sad. It's so sad, and a lot of money is lost because of this question not being asked. Okay? All right. So, the next question is, how do refunds work if the wedding has to be canceled? If you have to cancel your wedding for any reason, you need to find out from the wedding photographer what is the process. Before you give them a down payment, before you give them any money for anything, you've got to ask them, hey, what is the process if we have to cancel the wedding? Lots of things are happening, you guys. People are having to cancel weddings because of weather, inclement weather they didn't expect to happen because they live in like very, interesting places where it never has bad weather, but then look at what's happening. Now you're having bad weather. I did a whole video about this, about the people who are living up in North Carolina and how they're out there in Asheville area and Asheville, North Carolina, and things have not been going very well for those people who had weddings scheduled for this year, okay? This year and the end of last year. Things are not going very well, and people are trying to get their money back. Some people lost money, could not get it back. Some people were having a wedding on the actual day that the disaster came in, wedding ruined. So you need to ask them, what is it going to be like to get my money back if I have to cancel this wedding? It's not always your fault that a wedding is canceled. It's not your fault. So just know that just because you have to cancel your wedding, they don't have to blame you. And a lot of times people will blame you. They will blame you and say that it's your fault, and so you have to still pay them, rain or shine. So you want to be very mindful of this, and you want to take the time out to ask them, okay, what does it look like if I have to cancel? And just listen to their response. Listen to what their cancellation policy might be. Our next question is, how many photographers do you think I should have? Do you suggest? I don't have to go with it as a bride and groom. Remember, couples, I hope both of you are watching this video. This is for both the bride and the groom. Okay? So this video is for both of you. So sit down and ask them, okay, what is your ideal number of photographers that I should have? If they're going to tell you like 10 people because you have such and such amount of guests, and they're like, oh, we've got to get every angle, we got to do 10 people is a lot of photographers, you guys. 5 to 10 people is a lot of photographers. And that's a lot of people that you're going to have to pay out money to. And are all of them working? All of them are pulling cords and holding lights and doing all this other stuff. You've got to be mindful to ask them to the right questions, okay? The right questions. So Also, remember that there is something huge when it comes to photographers and when it comes to having a lot of photographers at your wedding, and that is the vendor meal. There's something called a vendor meal, and that is, as a wedding photographer, they are considered one of your wedding vendors, and they're considered one of the wedding vendors who gets to eat your food. So you paid $100, $200 a plate, some people even more, for each plate that's at your wedding. And now someone who's not even a guest is allowed to eat your food. And that's because they, as a photographer, they're there from the get ready with me on the day of the wedding. They're there for the reception. They're there for the ceremony. So for some people, that's like a 12-hour day. That's a 12-hour day. Most people don't realize that. It's at least 8 hours. Okay, it's at least 8 hours. And I would say, yes, on an 8-hour day, you should feed your staff, right? But what ends up happening is that they get these nice, lavish gourmet meal, the same thing that you gave your guest. Is it fair? Should we do another video on this topic? Probably so. I think we should. I think we should do another video on just that and see what you guys, keep it or leave it. Our little game that we like to play over here, keep it or leave it. Because for every photographer you have, if they come in there with a whole crew like that, you've got to feed them. Okay? All right, what's the next question? Will the photographers be in both the groom suite and the bridal suite? This question is important because guess what? If you have 2 male photographers, they can't be in the bridal suite. If you have 2 female photographers, they can't be in the groom suite. That is an intimate time before it's called getting ready for a reason, right? You're going to be in your undergarments, your robes, your slippers, you're going to have rollers and all kinds of stuff. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening, and you don't want men to be in there with all the ladies running around in their undergarments or their robes trying to get ready for the big day. Wouldn't you want a lady in there? Me personally, well, we're going to say that for story time. We're going to say it for story time. You guys know all the stories are coming up about our wedding and like juicy topics, okay, coming around here. So just know that it's coming soon. Those story times are coming soon about our wedding story. And I do have a wedding story about the photographer that was in the bridal suite for the get ready with me on the day of the wedding. Make sure you bring your fans that day. Just bring your fans. I'm going to bring my fan too because there was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. All right. So you want to ask them, will they be in the suite? Will they be in both of the suites? Because it is important. If you want get ready with me photos behind the scenes for both you and him, make sure that you have them tell you like, well, do you have a photographer for each? And then once we get to the ceremony and stuff, to me, you only need 2 photographers, like a main photographer and then the second helper photographer that's getting other angles. That's just how I feel about it when it comes to the ceremony portion. That's just how I feel, okay? All right. Next question. How long will it take to get my photos back? How long will it take to get my photos back to me? That's another great question. And as a couple, are you okay with that? Are you okay with how long it takes? Because if they tell you 3 months and then you guys agree to that, and now we're a month in and you're like, we don't have anything to put on social media, like where is our stuff? I got a good solution for where do we get our photos for social media. It's coming up at the end of this video. But just know that the photographers, they're using really high resolution. It's going to take time for them to get those photos back to you, okay? Month, 2 months, sometimes even 3 months to get them back to you, edit all that stuff. So, and hopefully they actually are editing it, because sometimes you get back stuff and it's not even edited. Okay. Just saying, it's what some of the questions you're going to be asking people, and they're like, oh, I really like this photographer. Well, how well was your photos edited? Can I see them? That's how you really know. The proof is in the work. People can say anything, but I noticed that on the reviews, no one's posting the pictures. Post the pictures from the day of the wedding. That would be great. Or the engagement shoot from the actual couple, not the photographer posting them. They can post anything. But if the couple that actually, use their service, we want to see them posting it. Tell you guys, these are the things to be looking out for. These are the things to be looking out for. Okay, so how long will it take to get my photos? And the couple needs to ask themselves, are we okay with it taking that long? Next question. This is the hot take question. This is it right here that I told you guys. What's that number one question that you need to ask them? Should we take a break? Should we take a 2-second break so you guys can get yourselves together? Because are you seeing the kind of questions that you need to be asking when it comes to these wedding photographers? They're making anywhere between $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. That's on the lower end. That's on the lower end now. Most of them are making $5,000 and $8,000 for one wedding. You better start asking some questions. You better start asking some questions. Let's get back over here to these notes. I think you guys are ready for this main question. Where do you stand at the wedding? I want you to ask your photographer, where do you stand at the wedding? And that they look at you kind of cross-eyed, kind of curious. Where do I stand at the wedding? Yes, where do you stand during the wedding ceremony? Where do you plan on standing? If they've done lots of weddings, they should know where they're going to be standing, where they're going to position themselves and their assistant or assistants. Okay? I went to a wedding and I felt so bad for my good pal. I went to a wedding and she had to have at least 6 or 7 photographers. And let me tell you, they were all over that venue, all over the place. And yet her photos came out horrible. There was trash in them. I don't even know how there was trash, but there was trash when we went outside, and because hers was on like the streets of New York and stuff. And so there was some trash. How do you have trash? You didn't even see blurry, uncropped. It was just so bad, you guys. And this was a really nice, very, very expensive wedding. They spent a lot of money for these photos. And they came out horrible. And look at all those photographers that they had. And they couldn't even, because people will be out here lying. So you guys have to make sure that you fact check their work and ask them some real questions and hold them accountable. Make sure they put that in the contract. Make sure to put all this stuff in the contract. Now, what do I mean so that you understand the question? Because you probably don't understand the question either. I'm going to break it down for you. Where does the photographer stand during the wedding? I love the way my officiant put it. He looked right at that photographer before the wedding even started. While I was getting ready, I didn't even get to hear any of this live. I got to hear about it after. Okay, got to hear about it after through a few people who all heard this. Okay, you need to know where to stand so that you're not in the way. That you're not in the way. Okay, you are wearing all black to a wedding where most people are wearing something festive, unless they're the men wearing black suits. We're not talking about that. Unless there are girls that are in like the really amazing, just, ankle length, floor length black dresses, or the amazing cocktail dresses that are not sausage dresses. I'm not talking about that. But you, as a service worker, are in all black. Something comfortable, probably a little bit more casual than everybody else, more than likely, unless the bride gave you specific instructions on not to wear that. Okay? Unless they want you in something different. That's what you're usually going to be wearing. And now you want to put yourself with all of that equipment, like those big old cameras, all in the way of the actual ceremony. People can't even see. Guests are like ducking and dodging, trying to see the bride and groom, because you're in the way. You're in the way. Why would you want to be in the way? Why would you want to be in the way? You need to know where to stand, okay? There's another good reason that you're asking this question. Where to stand. If the sunlight is behind the couple, they're on the altar, the sunlight is behind them, the guests are over here looking at the couple, there's the sun behind the couple. There's a beautiful backdrop behind the couple, water, a lake, a beach, whatever it is. There's a beautiful backdrop that couple has paid for. They have paid to be at this location. And they want that location in the photos. If the sun is coming in behind them and their backdrop is behind them, this is the audience, this is the guest looking at them, where does the photographer need to stand? The photographer can't stand directly behind the couple to get a shot of them from having that backdrop. They are going to have to maneuver and move themselves at more of an angle in different spots of the venue. Your best bet is to know what time the couple is getting married. If it's 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon, high noon, when the suns are all the way up. Your best bet as a photographer is to go a day ahead of time on the rehearsal day and go at that exact time that ceremony would be taking place the following day. So go a day early, but go at that time and stand around and take some pictures. Bring that second photographer with you so they can stand in the spot of where the couple would be standing so that you can get some shots then. Even better, you could ask the couple, hey, you're having a daytime wedding. Do you mind if I come and take a few pictures of you just because I want to have something to go off of? It also allows us to get even more comfortable with each other before your big day tomorrow. What a concept. What a concept. It's important to get the pictures. And so that's why I said this is the most important question that you can ask your photographer. Does everybody remember the question? Class? Does everybody, wedding couple class, listen, did you hear the two questions? Where do you stand during the wedding ceremony? And where do you stand if the sun is behind the couple and the main focus backdrop is behind the couple? If you stand in the wrong spot, the pictures are going to be black. They're going to just be a silhouette. Many of you have gone to the beach and the sun is coming up over the horizon. And now you go take a picture of you. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. The sun's behind me. This is so great. And now you go take a picture and now you're a silhouette. And you're like, no, that's not what I wanted. That's exactly what happens on your wedding day when the photographer doesn't know where to stand. If they can't answer this question without you explain it to them, move on to the next photographer. Move on. Move on. Okay? Just remember that. Move on. You don't have to tell them right then and there, okay, the interview's over. Keep going with the rest of these questions. We only have a few more left to tell them, to ask them. I said to tell them. We only have a few more to ask them. And so, you end the interview and stuff with them, and then you just don't book them. All right. Because this is very serious. This is very serious. All right. So, are you okay as a couple with all of the things that we talked about thus far? Are you okay with being strong enough to ask them? Hopefully you are. Hopefully you are not timid because, you got to check in with yourselves. Are you guys ready to go do the interviews, to talk to these photographers and stuff like that? Hopefully you're watching this video and it's giving you some encouragement, some strength to get out there and ask them, hey, I got some questions too. Okay? So, check in with yourself and make sure that you're ready. Next question. Do they get along with this photographer at this initial consultation? You can tell when you first meet people within the first few minutes, we're not gonna get along. This isn't gonna be a good partnership. Okay? You can tell if it's gonna be awesome. You can tell that this is gonna be great. I know that when I get to interview somebody about a service, I can tell right off the bat, okay, yes or no. I walked into a cake shop once and nobody came out to greet me for 10 minutes. They had some cakes for me to look at, and that's why I ended up sticking around and looking around and stuff like that. And it's a very, very specific cake shop. It's the only reason why I was in this specific cake shop. But I never went back. Because even though they had really great reviews about their very, very niche cake, their professionalism, their customer service was a 0. It was a 0. So I did not want to give them my money. And those cakes were quite more expensive than a regular cake. So I decided, no, I'm not going to be working with them ever, So just know that professionalism and customer service goes a long way. And I keep it very serious, you guys. I keep it very real. I know that it always sounds like I'm fussing, but I'm just so tired of seeing the nonsense. I'm so tired of seeing nonsense, okay? We gotta do better. We're giving people money for services that they shouldn't even be getting money for, okay? There's no barrier of entry of any kind, okay? Once people are in, they just create these things and, yeah, this is what I do. And it's like, well, what's your expertise? None. 0. Give me your money. No. All right, so see if you work well with them. See if you are getting along with them. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to, let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. You're going to ask them, do you work well with a content creator? Let them know that you have a content creator that's been filming, taking photos and videos in live stream at your engagement party, at your proposal, and that you want to ask them, hey, do you get along well with our content creator? Wait for their response. Because they're probably going to be giving you a side eye, which is not good. You don't want anybody that doesn't play well with other vendors. Your content creator is another wedding vendor. Okay? They're the new kid on the block, but as a content creator, I know that we are awesome. Okay? We are fabulous. We are amazing. And there's a reason why photographers and videographers are bullying us. And that's not cool. That's not cool. So you want to ask them, do they work well with them? And how do they work well with them? You want to ask them how, because they'll be like, yeah, and lie to you. Ask them how they work well with them. And some of the great ways that they could say that is, well, we have a conversation prior to your wedding day so that we can get to know each other and where each other will be standing during the ceremony and things like that. I know that a lot of them want to get some of those behind the scenes shots if you have to get ready with me as well. So we know to give each other that time so that one is in the room and not both are in the room. Things like that. You know what I mean? You can see as a content creator, I have thought this all out. But as photographers, have they? Have they? I thought it all out and put it into practice. Have they? Have they? So you want to be asking that. This is the worst, horrible question. Let me calm down, I'm getting loud. This is the worst, horrible question that you can ask a wedding photographer. The worst. How soon do I need to book you out for our wedding? The reason why this is a horrible question, because number one, every wedding planner will tell you to book them right away, super quick, hurry up, don't take your time. You need to book them as soon as you get engaged. There are thousands with an S, wedding photographers in every little tiny little minuscule town, every little city, every state. There are so many wedding photographers. It's ridiculous. They are one of the most highly overly saturated vendors in the wedding business. There's so many of them, and it's because they've been around forever, and that's okay. Like, that's what people need in order to document their day, was a photographer. It's perfect, but there's thousands. At the very least, you're going to find hundreds in your city, okay? Hundreds. You don't need to worry about finding a photographer. Obviously, you need to worry about finding the right photographer, but someone with that aesthetic that you really like. That's why we said in the beginning. What did I say in the beginning of this lesson for today? Who remembers? I said to pick 3 or 4 wedding photographers that you were doing research on that was fitting with your aesthetic, your style. Their website was professional. Their Google Maps was professional, put together, curated right. Remember that? There's a reason for that, okay? So that maybe if you get to that first one and he's already completely booked and he's not willing to work with you, he's not willing to put you on the waiting list if somebody has to drop out or has to cancel, fine, go to number 2. All 4 of them, I guarantee you, are not going to be booked. They're not. They're not. Not on the day and time that you want. No, they're not. Okay, so here's some extra advice. I've got a little bit of extra advice for you guys on this one. Only book your wedding photographer for the engagement photos if you're not going to be using your candid proposal photos for your save the dates or for your wedding invitations, things like that, right? Or mainly your invites. I know that everybody loves the formal photography, and if it is included in your wedding day price package, I would say go for it. I would say go ahead and go for it, okay? But if you didn't get any proposal pictures, like nothing, you didn't get a video where you can do screen grabs from it and just grab some pictures from it, remember, those are in the moment. Most of the time, the engagement photos are more of a forced photo shoot. People are mimicking what they see on Instagram. You know, the people at B are telling you how to pose and what you should be, you know, how you should be looking in these photos and stuff like that. So use your best judgment when it comes to all this spending of the money, okay? Just use your best judgment here. Now, like I said, if you just want to throw out money, you don't care, you got lots of it, then you do your thing. Do your thing. All right, so that's my advice on hiring your photographer and when it comes to engagement photos. When it comes to the ceremonial and reception, I wouldn't have the professional photographer for the reception. A lot of people are going to take some candids and things like that at the reception. You don't really need the professional photographer there. Save your money for those 4 or 5 hours of the reception. It's a very, very long day already for you and for them. And guess what? You can even save yourself a vendor meal if you didn't have them at the reception, because normally a ceremony is about 30 minutes on the shorter end, and then an hour and a half for the longer weddings, for more of like the Catholic weddings and things like that, cathedral weddings. They're usually longer. So you guys watched a royal wedding in London. You saw how long it was and how long it took her to get down to the altar. Like, they have those long pathways to get there. Most people don't even know that many people to even fit all the seats in there, so they don't need to be doing that long walk unless they just want to. But anyways, for the photographer on the wedding day, you could have them in there for some of the get ready with me if you really think that that's important for them to take professional photos of you during the get ready with me. before you walk down the aisle. I know a lot of people really like those, but you don't have to have a professional photographer in there to do that. I'm going to tell you another way you can get those photos. And it's going to be way less cost, and you're going to get them a lot sooner. Most of you already know what I'm going to say. And so you don't need them for that. What I suggest is that you have them for the ceremony, so 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and then the 30-minute to an hour for the photo session, like after, and go try to get some fun walking down the aisle pictures, some candid stuff, and things like that. Looking back at each other, all excited and everything. Make sure you get that backdrop as your main photos. You don't want to just have photos of the backdrop or the chairs. You don't want that. Okay. So things like that. Some people are even going out into the city and walking around the city wherever they live and getting some pictures if they're like super close to the venue of them walking down, downtown, if their venue's downtown, the streets of the city and the ambiance as well of where they got married in. Okay, so that gives you some ideas of some photos. And now you've only got them from anywhere for 3 hours to about 4 hours maximum, and you don't have to give them a vendor meal, and your costs for their services would be cut like way more than in half for most people. Okay, so think about that. The next thing is, we're going to talk about this another time, but I would not book a videographer, and this is why. I know I said videographer. I know, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about them today, but I wouldn't hire a videographer, and it's because your content creator does an amazing job of doing videography and photography on my cell phone. I'm your personal paparazzi. I have all of your content creation in my hands through that cell phone lens, and then you get your pictures, videos, unedited in less than 24 hours. The edited ones that I make into little like montages and little like fun transitional videos, you get those in the next 24 hours. So you'll have everything for your social media. You're not sitting around waiting for photos to come through or for videos to come through of your special events, all of your events. So not just your ceremony and your reception and your get ready with me that morning, because I also film the get ready with me that morning and photos and stuff like that. And I'm more of that fly on the wall. I'm more of that, like, since I only have a cell phone and a little tripod, I'm not walking around with this big old thing, in everybody's way. I'm just, you don't even notice I'm there. You don't even notice that I'm there. Okay. So this is what I suggest, is that instead of getting the videographer, you get your content creator. That's me. To capture those moments for you. And that way, like, parents are all in there, grandparents are all in there, all the major players are definitely going to be seen, as well as your friends and things like that. Whereas a lot of times the photographers are so focused on the bride and groom, but not everybody that's there to celebrate you. And they are important too. There would be no wedding ceremony if everybody wasn't there. I mean, I guess you could still have that, obviously, but you guys get where I'm going with that. So that's how I feel. That is, my little 2 cents. Something that I want to remind you guys is, remember our event checklist. So every wedding event, you want to remember our event checklist. And that first one is, tell your guests the theme and the attire inspo. Like, so the outfit info, the outfit inspiration, the outfit inspo that you would like for them to wear if they could. Like, they don't have to, but if they could. So that's the number one check point for our checklist on our event party checklist when it comes to photos, videos, and live streaming your events. So that's number one. Tell them the theme, outfit inspo. Also, remember to take a group picture. So at every event, make sure that you take a group picture. Number 3, have a photo op area or a backdrop. Something that you want to commemorate that day with. You want to remember, okay, oh my gosh, we had this huge backdrop over here full of just the most beautiful wedding decor that you can imagine. You guys went all out on that specific like wall, and make it a big wall, because if you have one of those little teeny little areas and then not everybody fits in there, it looks weird when someone's like cut off and they aren't in the actual, like, you know, they're not in the actual photo op at all. They're on the side of it. So make sure that everybody is in there. And then also you want to, I'll explain more why you need the photo op and the backdrop at a later time. I will explain more of that to you guys later, but just know that it is important, okay? And most of you who love photos and videos, you probably already understand, so you won't need to have a lot of detail on that, but just make sure you have that. And then your next major checklist is to hire your content creator. And the reason why is because now you can have an unplugged event. So no matter what the event is, engagement party, bridal shower, wedding shower, bachelorette party, Hindu party, you know, the wedding day itself, doesn't matter. All of your events that you're going to be having for your wedding, now they can be unplugged, which means that people who come there can just come and celebrate you and be happy for you and not be holding a cell phone in their face. It looks terrible. It looks terrible. Okay? So just know that when you hire the content creator, that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I do. So getting those candid behind the scenes moments, able to move around quicker because I'm on a cell phone and not, you know, with those big pieces of equipment. Another thing is, guys, I actually like to sit in the ceremonial seats as a guest. I know it's weird. I like doing that because then I'm not up disrupting the ceremony at all. It's really, really cool. And you know who can't do that? Wedding photographers. Remember I said still have them for the ceremony, but also have a content creator there for the get ready with me portion before the ceremony, and then during the ceremony, having them there as well as having the photographer there. No videographer. No videographer. Okay? That's just my advice. You can hire a videographer, but I just don't think that it's necessary. The other thing is, let's see. Something that I noticed is that when guests show up taking out their cell phones, they are trying to be the photographer and the videographer. Everybody wants those clips for their social media. Just know that when somebody makes the announcement, I don't even mind making the announcement at weddings before everything gets started and the guests are seated. I don't even mind making the announcement, or the officiant can make the announcement and just say, "Hi guests, we are having an unplugged ceremony. Per the couple's request, we ask that you please not take out your phones. Please do not take out your cameras or video cameras. We have a content creator who is here, and we also have a professional photographer that's here that's going to capture everything. The content creator is going to give the bride and groom all of the photos and videos in the next 24 to 48 hours. Trust me, you will see yourself in them. They're not just here for the beautiful couple, but they're also here for your beautiful faces as well. So you will be in there. And don't hesitate to come up and say, hey, do you mind getting a picture of me with the couple or something like that, even once we get to the reception. Because in the reception, you're welcome to have your phones out. It won't be unplugged, okay? So, but if you want the photographer or the content creator to capture some photo or video with you with the couple, or even just if you want to do like a little interview to the couple, find the content creator and let her do that with you and for you, okay? So see how simple that was? That was simple and to the point. People understand. You let them know the assignment, and then hopefully they can ace it, okay? Hopefully they understand and they will do it, okay? They will do it. All right, you guys, so we're at the budget binder segment. You can go ahead and book your photographer today, though. You can add it to the budget binder and put it down, and all you're going to do is put the cost of the photographer. You're going to put down photographer, and then you're going to put down who paid for the photographer. I tell you who to put down on who's paying for the photographer, or who traditional pays for the photographer. That's what we normally do over here. Who traditionally pays for the photographer? And after this, after watching this video, you probably should go ahead and book your photographer. You probably should. For the wedding photography is going to be the parents of the bride. So it is going to be the mother and father of the bride who typically pays for the photography. You guys have seen that, like, for most weddings, it seems like it's the bride's parents that are paying for mostly everything. But there is a reason for that. Most people don't know that traditionally who pays for the house when the couple moves into their home and not an apartment, which is most people have ended up is living in apartments. Most of that is paid for on the groom side or the groom. So that's why it's kind of like this balance of, okay, they're paying for a lot of the stuff for the wedding and planning and prepping a lot of the wedding stuff. There are some stuff that the in-laws do, that the groom's family does, but for the most part, it is the bride's side. And this is just traditionally. I know that things are different for every single family, you guys. I understand that. I'm just talking about traditionally that most people don't know that that's where the budget comes from. So that's why on our wedding planning, we are discussing more of like traditionally who does this, who does that, okay? Who pays for this, who pays for that. So, but if you've got people in your family that can help out in any way, that's even better. I know that I was very grateful for that in my family as well as with my in-laws. So grateful. Okay, you guys, so that is the end of our episode. This has brought us to the end, lovebirds. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I hope that you will join me for the next live stream, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, lovebirds.
Lights, camera, action, baby, strike a pose. Phones and cameras out, just watch it all unfold. We're the stars of the show, ain't no need for filters. Living life through the lens, capturing my breath. Put away your phones and cameras, let the good times roll. Our content creators got it all under control. From weddings to events, parties, travel and brands, we're living the paparazzi life. It's all in our hands. Lights, camera, action, we're ready to go. We're professionals, don't you already know? From TikTok to Instagram.